Sandra, we just only want the real. Only just wanting that, watching all this go down. Miss Jefferson through the window. I'm just wishing I could tell you, but a nephew can't just tempo. How the police act like that? I thought they protect and serve. They say we should stop the violence. Hell no, pointing to the cops. How they asking us to stop?
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? How y'all doing today? How y'all doing? It's your boy Alfie there in the place to be, Streets Talk Podcast. We got today Real Estate Wednesdays. We here with my homegirl Dawn Lemon. How you doing today?
I'm doing okay.
You doing okay? How your week was?
Eventful, to say the least.
Yeah.
Good.
So how's everything? Yeah, so we took off last week a little bit. So I ran a couple of old episodes so everybody could pretty much get catched up on what we pretty much been talking about for the last few weeks. So, we're going to jump right back on in this week, and, we're going to come with some brand new content. Right now, the housing market is, pretty much is about to start booming. They got the tax sales is unfortunately about to start moving. So it's, pretty much the time for, people, if you're looking to buy a home, this is pretty much the time for you to look and start buying a home. So, how are you doing today? So what you want to jump into today?
So today we'll talk about, let me introduce myself like I do every week for those who have not been following us. My name is Dawn Lemon. I am a real estate agent with Realty One Group Universal. My contact information is typically displayed on the Streets Talks page. If you have any real estate related questions or concerns, feel free to contact me at any time. Yes, I would always love to be anybody's agent, but just because you call me doesn't necessarily mean that we have to sign a contract and I have to become your agent just for you to ask me a question. So this week, I know that we have the first 3 episodes. We always talk about the home buying process, but we never really put content out there for people who are looking to actually sell their homes. So this week I wanted to focus more on anyone who is interested in possibly selling their home and they don't know where to start. They don't know what steps to take, etc. So I want to jump right in. Like I said, this week has been eventful, so I'm kind of unprepared. I don't have a slide for you all today, but we'll jump right into it. So the first thing you always want to do is choose your agent wisely. You want to make sure that your agent is going to market your property properly. They are going to address any issues or concerns. They have your best interest at heart, meaning that any information that should be confidential will be kept confidential. And they'll make sure that anything that is delivered during the transaction is always going to be in your best interest. So you want to make sure that the agent that you reach out to, they definitely, are working to make sure that your property, it sells quickly, that you get fair pricing, etc. And that they use all of the tools that are available to us as agents to be able to make sure that your property is priced fairly, etc. So, and you also want to make sure that the relationship you have with that agent is a conducive relationship. If it is not, you definitely you have to do what's best for you. Every agent is not going to be a right fit for you, so you definitely want to make sure that you find an agent that is. The next thing you always want to make sure is time the market. You're not expected to be an expert in knowing how the market is running. That is our job. But right now, for anyone who would be interested or who has been considering selling their home, this market is the ideal market. It is currently a seller's market. So that means that there's low inventory and a high demand for properties, which means that you'll definitely get your property won't be listed long. So it means that the turnaround time for selling your property is going to be shorter than it typically would be. And also the pricing, it's definitely, the interest rates are still low, even though they have increased some over the last few weeks. They are still low, so people can afford more of a house. So you want to make sure that you time the market properly when you're considering selling your home. The next thing we always recommend having professional photos of your home taken. So you'll notice that probably part of the fee that you'll pay to your agent will be to cover photos, because we want to make sure that we hire a professional who can come in. They can highlight the features of your home. They can take a picture on the right angles and make sure that they're showing the full size of your rooms, etc. So you want to definitely make sure that you have professional pictures taken. I mean, you can always take photos with your phone, but then, it leaves too much room for questions to be asked. If the pictures aren't good enough, then you have people that will bypass wanting to even take a tour of your property. So just make sure you make that investment and have professional photos taken. The next one is a big one. Making sure that your property is priced right. We all know what we feel like we want to sell our house for. Like today you wake up, you like, okay, the houses in my neighborhood go for 400,000. I want 400,000 for my house. But you haven't done any, any maintenance, any routine maintenance. You really haven't made any upgrades. You've been there for 20 years. You can't expect to get the same thing that the house up the street that may have had upgrades done, or just because another home in the area sold for that price, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's what your home will sell for. So it is always good to get a professional opinion, to speak with your agent, make sure they do a CMA, which is a comparative market analysis. And this is what tells you, okay, we go in, we look at other homes in the area and we say, okay, well, this home may have been in excellent condition, so of course they got top dollar for it. Your home may be in good condition, but it may be dated, so this would be a good selling point for your house. Like, you have to make sure that what you're asking for is fair, because again, if you don't, you put your agent at a disadvantage to represent you fully. Because I mean, we are ultimately going to do what you say do. So if you say, well, I want my house listed at 300,000, and we explain to you that your house may not meet that 300,000, we'll ultimately list your house at 300,000. But then you also expect us to sell that house in the same time frame that everything else is selling, etc., without taking into consideration that it's not priced fairly. So we definitely want to make sure that you always take into consideration all of the different factors that come into pricing your home to be sold. So if it means that you might have to put in a little money to get some curb appeal, put in some new numbers, a new mailbox on the outside. You may want to have some landscaping, get some trees, some rose bushes planted. You may want to spend a little money, get new tile in the kitchen, or whatever your agent recommends to increase your value. If you don't want to take that into consideration, just please make sure that you are being fair in terms of what you're asking for and pricing. That can always, always, always become an issue, and more times than none, that's the determining factor in how quickly your house is actually sold. So you want to declutter. So you've been living in your house, fine. You want to sell your house while you're living in there, that's absolutely fine. But you have to prepare your house to be shown so that another potential buyer that walks into your home, they can actually see what they're getting. They can see the floor, they can see the basement, they can see the closets. They want to make sure that everything is neat, that everything is in place. Anything that you no longer use, you want to get rid of it, or you want to pack it up, maybe put it in storage, but you want to have the least amount of clutter as possible, so that when anyone comes into your home to tour your home, they can actually see what's there. Depersonalizing. So this is a recommendation, and sometimes that is challenging to depersonalize, because you may have family portraits hanging up. You may have, things that are like personal to you that the next person may not find so attractive, or whatever the case may be. So you want to try to get rid of everything personal, all of your decor, things like that. You want to make sure it's up to par, but anything personal, you probably want to take down. Mail, things that you may have on your refrigerator with magnets that have your entire name, all of your business and things like that. You want to have all of those things put away, because you will have multiple people touring your home that are interested, multiple buyers, and you don't want that information to be shown, or you just don't want to run the risk. You just never know. Staging your home. So if you don't physically live in the home that you're looking to sell, staging is a good idea. Staging is also a good idea if you do live in your home. The stager may not have to bring as much furniture in. They'll pretty much try to work around what you already have. They may just add a few pieces of a vase here, a flower there, but for a curtain here, small things like that. But you want to make sure that your home is staged. So again, the potential buyer coming in, when they do their walkthrough, they can vision what and how the house would be set up for them. So that's the whole thing. The whole goal is to make sure that you create a vision for your potential buyer, and step outside of what you personally prefer and what another person may personally go with. So you definitely want to do that. The next thing is be accommodating. So we do understand as an agent, and I go through this a lot. more so with occupied properties. There's so many restrictions. There are so like even when it comes down to times that the property is shown. Granted, you want to sell your house and you have to go to work every day, so you may only allow showings to take place um, on the weekends or on Fridays after 5 or every day after 5 or whatever the case may be. But try to be as accommodating as you possibly can be, because again, this goes into how long your home stays on the market. If you're not flexible in allowing your home to be shown and people have to, it's another home, honestly, that will you can go and a person can go and see at any time. So, if you limit your showings, you definitely limit the amount of potential buyers that you give access to your home and run the risk of your home being listed for longer than usual. Setting yourself apart. So what you want to do is you want to make your home feel warm and welcoming when someone comes in. And again, you want to take the personalization out. You want to do the home staging, but you also want to make it feel like home. So try not to be there when a tour is taking place. We try to like limit touring properties where the owner is in the home. And to be honest, I had an appointment one time. I took my clients out to see a house, and the owner was there, and she wanted to give us the history of everything in her house. Literally the cabinet. She said, "Oh, you can have this cabinet. I'll leave it here if you want it. I bought that when my son was born." And, I can't say, she literally walked us through from top to bottom. So this is what you want to avoid, because again, this can deter a potential buyer. Okay. So you want to try to make sure you're not there, because, we don't want a buyer to feel like they were, for whatever reason, if we submit an offer that you are biased because for any reason, and don't give them a reason. So just try your best not to be present, but be accommodating and set yourself apart. So when you leave, have friendly notes around or whatever the case may be. If there's anything that you would like for the buyer to know and you're not there, there are different things that you can do. Always ask for feedback. So, sometimes we don't even get a chance to ask for feedback because the property goes under contract so quickly. But in the event that, you know that multiple buyers are walking through your property and you aren't getting the contracts, or the contracts aren't for the amount of money that you would like to see, we always ask for feedback every time that there's a showing. And, sometimes the agent will give us some feedback and say, whatever, the basement was too small, the kitchen, whatever the case may be. And it gives you the opportunity to make the necessary adjustments if you decide to. So these are just a few tips for anyone who is looking to sell their home. It's pretty, it can be challenging. It can be just as challenging selling a home as it is buying a home. But again, your agent is always going to be there to make sure that anything that you decide to do, whether you're on the buyer side or the seller side, that you are educated, that you are knowledgeable, and that we work with you through the entire process to make it seamless. I can hear you.
Yeah, it's going to be a long, tedious process. So, it's not going to be like something, you're going to end up, waking up today and say, oh, I'm going to sell my house tomorrow. Of course, it's going to take a little bit of time. So, you got to be prepared to just go ahead and, just go, maybe for the long run. But it's well worth it. But I would say curb appeal is one of the first things to get a lot of people once they driving by, looking at the home and say, oh, man, that look nice. That's going to want to come on the inside. So it's best to, go to Home Depot, go to Lowe's, get you some mulch. So, a little bit, it's going to take, a few dollars. It's not going to sound like it might, do a lot, but, what a little bit of, a gallon of paint would do and things like that, it works a magic.
Absolutely. That painted door, like you said, the landscaping with the mulch, the new numbers in a mailbox, and maybe a nice little light on the porch, you would definitely be surprised how it would attract a buyer to come in and decide they want to see the home. So, and like I said, just the minor things. You don't necessarily have to go through and renovate your house fully, but you want to make sure that your house is clean when people come in. that everything is put up, all of the different the highlights of your home. If your kitchen island has whatever type of countertop, make sure the countertop is clean so that people can see that. If you have what else is everybody? I mean, of course, the light fixtures. I always tell everybody all the time, like changing the light fixture can change the entire look of a house. So if you have just basic light fixtures, go out and buy a little chandelier, put it up, put some nice designer light bulbs in it, and somebody walk through your door and feel like they're home. So it's just the basic things, the decluttering. You don't want your dirty clothes everywhere. You just make sure everything is put up so that when they walk through, they can get a feel for what that home would be like with their belongings in there, what it looks like for them.
Exactly. You might not have a big budget. You got places like, like the place that, Five and Below, things like that. Get little knickknacks, little pictures. You can go to other little stores, little pillows, like you said. Throw them up on there, if you don't want to, have some pictures, go to the dollar store, throw some, the little cheap pictures. You're not like you're going to keep them for a while, but you're just staging. But it's all everything that you got to do to go to sell your home. Every little bit of it counts. And I will also say, if you're going to spend some money into your bathrooms and to your kitchens as well.
In a basement, if your basement.
Exactly. Finished basement or something like that. If it goes that far, if it, maybe air condition, if your unit doesn't have central air, maybe something, something along that line. If you got oil heat, so maybe it's gonna cost a little bit of money, but maybe if you got baseboard heaters or something like that, if your budget is not that much, but it's not going to take, it's not going to take a lot. Whereas you're thinking $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 to redo your home. When you think about redoing your home, it's a lot of times it's cosmetics.
Right. And you want to make sure too that, your property, like I said, going back to choosing the right agent and making sure that you're timing the market right. Because we do have the MLS system where we list your home and then it filters out into Zillow and Redfin and all of those. And then, the agent starts getting all these phone calls about the property. But you also want to, appeal to other, so the MLS is pretty much local. But what about people who may be moving here from another state? Their MLS won't show what we have here in Maryland. So you want to make sure that the marketing channels that the agent is using is going to not only cater to Maryland and Baltimore and the surrounding the DMV area. You want to make sure that if somebody in Atlanta is looking to move into Baltimore, that they can see your house is listed. So you want to, definitely check in and make sure that, and then again, you have people that may be doing virtual tours. So that plays into making sure that curb appeal is right, making sure that there's no clutter. Because if I have to come into your home and do a virtual tour for one of my clients and there's like totes stacked up and things like that, and they're like, what's behind there? I'm not going to walk through your house moving and hauling. I'm just going to simply go in and do a tour. So you want to make sure that the tour, that your home is prepared to be shown no matter what, no matter how it's being shown, whether it's virtually, whether it's in person. If we have an open house, and definitely what their COVID measures are, what steps are they taking to make sure that, you can come back into your home and feel safe, etc. So these are all things that you would like to take into consideration when you are preparing to list your home. And definitely ask questions. Just because most sellers are really only looking, their only concern is, okay, how much money am I going to make? But there are other things that go into it. So it's like you're going to get out of it what you put into it as well. So you have to ask questions and find out what is the best decision, what is the best route for you to take to sell your home.
Exactly. And then, also another place, another inexpensive place that, staging your home, you can, maybe go rent some furniture somewhere, somewhere, rent furniture, things like that for like one of your local, stores or something like that. That's also another place where though that you can go. So to give yourself a, look, make the person feel a little more welcome when they come in and make it feel more so like a home, place some potpourri smells around there. That absolutely always get someone. It's always the little things.
If you have pets, please make sure that they are put up.
Exactly.
Yeah. So these are the, just because you like cats and you never put your cat up and your cat does what your cat wants to do, again, you have to look at it from the flip side. Like, okay, what would that person like? This is how my home works for me with my cat being out. But if you decide that you want to list your house and you have to leave, take your cat with you, put your cat up, because everybody doesn't like cats, everybody doesn't like dogs. Make sure that there's like not dog hair all over everything, cat hair all over everything. So these are things that will make your home more appealing to a home buyer.
And that makes it, great for, especially that, it's okay to sell your home by yourself, but to take the headache away to get a realtor, because it's good to have that third person, that third party, someone that's not attached to the home, because, like you said, you had a person that was trying to sell a home and they was going through down memory lane, trying to sell it, show everything, I had this when I was there, but it's best to have someone there to let look at, ain't nobody trying to see all of that. Come on, we're going to go ahead and fix this together. We're going to get this house on the market. We're going to sell it. So you need that third person, basically, especially if it's a home that's been in your family forever. It might have been your grandparents' home. You might have grew up inside it. So it's going to be kind of hard for you to separate from it. So it's best to get someone else and just go ahead and let them handle that, basically that headache, let you to go ahead and walk away from it. So I think that's the best, that's one of the best reasons to go ahead and get a realtor as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'll have people to approach you that are not agents that will give you this spiel about how they can sell your house, how they can make you all of this money, etc. And I mean, different strokes for different folks, but just make sure that you understand what the terms of that agreement would be. Just make sure you understand how they would represent you in the transaction, and make sure that they are capable of handling that transaction, because not everyone is capable of handling that transaction. And then you find yourself, in a situation where, you possibly could, it just doesn't work out in your best interest. So just make sure that you do your research before you make a decision, especially if you're trying to avoid, because most people are trying to avoid paying an agent. So that's why they don't necessarily, they try to do a for sale by owner, which you might see on Zillow a lot. And then even with the for sale by owners, I have clients that, okay, the owner is selling it and we can go and see it. And then it's always, oh, well, we can't. Oh, well, let me call you back. Oh, well, we decided we won't sell it. So, there are different things that come with that, because it is not, it's not the most challenging thing, but it's not as easy as one might seem. Like, well, why should I pay somebody all of that money when I can do it myself? And then again, like I said, the convenience piece of it, being accessible, all of that becomes a challenge. And the next thing you know, your house is on the market for 175 days when it could have been gone in 10 days with an agent. So to each his own, that's what we're here for. You know,
Like you say, it takes the headache away, and also y'all have more, like you say, more means on marketing in the home, getting the word out there, networking with different, maybe agents, investors, and things like that. It takes, like you say, if I want to sell my home, I might can just go ahead and put a sign on front of my house, and it might take me a year. I mean, then after that year, maybe a year and a half, I might say I want to take it off the market, but do you think it's best for a person to maybe try to find already be separated from the home? If sometimes understand things happen, but try not to be living in the home. So you best to show the home where, so it could be in it, easier for someone to access the home, or it just doesn't matter.
Not necessarily, as long as they take the necessary steps to prepare the home to be shown. I mean, I've shown homes that people lived in and they are immaculate, and then you never realize, you're like, oh my gosh, it's clothes in the closet and they have soap in the shower. Like, somebody actually lived here, because they do an amazing job at preparing a home to be shown. And then there are some people that you do know. I mean, what, like I said, you might get there and the person that owns a home, they're there. They sitting on the back porch, like, oh, you can just cut the light out when you get done. We'll go sit on the patio and just let us know when you're leaving. And then you have some people that stay there, and like the one lady, and she just, from top to bottom, she wants to tell you how long, how old every piece of furniture is, what she's taking, what she's keeping, etc. So, I mean, her house was definitely cluttered. I mean, but again, the agent took it. It's just our recommendation. We can't necessarily say, we can't force one to clean out their home. It's just a bit of advice, and we can let them know, well, this might not go the way that you think that it is because of 1, 2, 3. So it's completely up to the seller what they choose to do. I mean, we can only just give recommendations, but there are people who absolutely live in their home and they sell it. And the day that they sell it, sometimes they might even have to do a rent back because whatever else they had lined up, like maybe their new home, their settlement was pushed back. So they need to stay in the house for another week or so. And so they sell it and they go to settlement, but then they rent it back from the new seller and they just pay them to stay there for a little longer. So it is absolutely people that do that.
And I think it's a good, especially if it's a person that's coming from out of town or or you're not familiar with. So you can actually, the person's there, you can get a feel of the neighborhood, how the stores are, schools, things like that. So there's a lot of questions, a lot of, the realtor might not be able to answer, but if the person's there, the home might get a better perspective because they've been living there. Like, how's the neighbors, neighbor next door, there's a little nosy, or this person right here, they're a little nice, or the schools are real nice. They have a very good, math program or something like that. So it's also a good, it's a good reason for them to be at the home as well.
Right. Absolutely. So, I mean, like I said, selling is equally important. We talk about buyers all the time, but sellers typically, they don't know where to start. And with the seller, we're not dealing with lending, we're not dealing with financing. That's not our problem. So the only other thing for you, when you do meet with your agent, you want to absolutely know and make sure that you have your mortgage statement if you owe any money or you have an outstanding mortgage on the home. You want to have that prepared for the agent so that we can, again, make the best decision in terms of how we can make you the most money and make sure that we are aware of any liens that may be on the property, because all of these things are important when it comes to making a decision to sell. And we can better advise you when we have a complete picture of what your situation as it relates to your home looks like. So those liens are extremely important. Your outstanding balance on your mortgage is extremely important. Making sure that you're not in default, etc. So all of these things, again, they play a role because there are certain situations where we actually can't step in and market your home without the bank's approval. Just say, for instance, if you are in the midst of foreclosure, etc., like if we need to do a short sale. So we have to be able to properly advise you based on your current circumstance as it relates to your home. If you own your home free and clear, you don't have a mortgage, you don't owe anything on it, then we need to have documentation showing that so that when we convey the property, they understand that that's not a term of the loan.
So what about, do you run, a lot of cases you might have a person might come, well, I had this property and, my mom's, she's moving out of town or I'm moving out of town, but I have, people contacting me and, saying, they got wind of me wanting to sell my home and, they're going to offer me $20,000, but there's nothing really wrong with the home. Do you, I guess it's all on a personal decision of that person, but, do you think they should just go and shop around or just not just go ahead and jump on the first person that comes to them and try to buy that home or anything like that? It's best to try to see, basically, get more bang out your buck because your home might worth way more than this, if they say they're going to pay your mortgage off. So,
Right.
what you think they should do?
So, I mean, they absolutely should not take the first offer unless, if the offer is sufficient, if they were only looking to make $20,000 and somebody offers them 20 and they want to go with that, that's totally up to the person. I mean, typically, when we list a property, we kind of like to get multiple offers in and present them, one by one, or sometimes we might set a deadline and say, hey, the deadline is on March 24th at 9 p.m. We'll make our decision on March 25th in the morning. And that gives the seller the opportunity to go through all of the offers, find out which ones are most, because when you're going through offers and your agent will explain this to you, you have to pay attention to contingencies that are in the offer. Do they want an inspection? Are they asking for closing costs help? There are different contingencies that can be a part of an offer. So you want to make sure that you thoroughly understand those contingencies and what they actually mean to you. Does that mean that, okay, my settlement might take 45 days, or, are they using financing? Are they using cash? These are different things that you have to take into consideration because all of these determine like how your transaction could go. If you're going to do it as is, if you're going to offer a warranty with it, It's a lot of different things that your agent will sit and talk with you through to make sure that you understand, and again, that you are listing your house in the best possible, like with the best possible. I wouldn't call it a package or a deal or anything, but that will be most
More
beneficial in a
suitable
way that
for
will be
you.
most beneficial for you as a seller.
Yeah,
Because sometimes the contingencies, you run the risk of when you allow contingencies or when you accept an offer with a contingency. Just say, for instance, an inspection contingency. Some of them will say, okay, if we get the inspection back, we have 5 days to notify you of any findings, and then you have to agree, like you'll be agreeing to whether or not you'll repair the things that need to be repaired. If you don't agree to repair them, do you let that buyer walk without any consequence, because they because of the contract, and so it's just like, then if you run that risk, and if that becomes an issue, so then you have an inspection contingency. The inspection comes back. It's some major things on there that you can't afford to fix. So you decide to just, cancel the contract. Now your house is back on the market. Now we have to go through the same thing all over again. So these are just the different options and the different things that you have to take into consideration when making the decision to accept an offer. And you have to understand it. The thing about the title, like if anything comes back on the title that needs to be taken care of, and I mean, that's going to be either way, because if you use an agent, most people are going to do title work regardless of whether you use an agent or not. If you do an agent, if you do a deal with a wholesaler, that buyer is going to get that title work done. So you want to make sure that your title is free and clear to the home.
yeah, exactly. Because you like we saying, we was thinking, talking about curb appeal and things like that. Go, I'm thinking, maybe someone might say, "Oh, I don't feel like going through all of this. I ain't got the money for this. This person's going to give me this kind of money and things like that." But I will always say, like I say, it's inexpensive to go ahead and get these things done to your home, and and get it on the market and get it sold for for what it's worth, for what it's worth. Because like you say, the buying a home is your biggest investment for the normal average middle class person.
Right.
So it's going to take a lot. So I would just say, just go ahead and you got channel, you got stuff on TV, the DUI, I mean the do it yourself channels and things like that, because like a lot of things like now, I've been painting all day long. So I've been here, it takes me a few more, just a few dollars to go ahead and just, to start doing a little painting, but it just whatever it takes, it doesn't, and a little bit of time, do it yourself, bring the family in, have paint parties, decoration party and things like that to go ahead and pass the time.
Exactly. And I think these are all great ideas to come together and prepare your house to be sold. I mean, you do have some people that may not owe any money on their homes, and they have equity, so they go in and they do take out a small, a small loan against the home and renovate it. And sometimes, that $15,000 to $20,000 could increase your value by like $50,000. So again, it's something that you talk to your agent, and sometimes it's not okay. The agent meets with you, and then the next day the property is listed. No, we get you prepared to make sure that you get the most for the most from your investment. So if it requires to do a little work that may take 30 or 60 days, and that's what you want to do, I think that's always the best route to take. But if you just absolutely cannot do it, then it's fine. You just have to sell it as is, and then you have to take like what the home is worth. And sometimes people offer more money than what we're asking for, depending on it. Certain neighborhoods carries, carries the value in itself. And a home may not have to be like A1, but people are willing to pay to live in particular neighborhoods. So these are all things you take into consideration.
Exactly, because you can have maybe you might have a home somewhere like Roland Park or Federal Hill, but you don't really want to put all the money in it. But like I say, by the value of the homes inside the area, whereas though you still might, especially if you rent free, debt free from your home, like you say, you have no mortgage on there. That might be another idea. You've been in the home 15, 20, 30 years. hey, why not just, get an agent and just go ahead and get a, market it, and I'm not going to go sell it as is, and just go ahead and just, and maybe move down Florida and live a luxurious life or something like that. But it's different ways. But I want to ask you a question about, say, if a person don't have a mortgage on their home and things like that. So how hard is it, or how easy is it for a person to say, I want to go ahead and take some equity off their home? They might have, been in their home for a few years and take some equity off the home and try to find someone that's going to, that's something that a realtor may help with, or that's something they have to do on their own. How would a person do something like that?
So you basically just go to the bank and you get a home equity loan or a line of credit. I know some banks aren't doing line of credits right now in the pandemic, but there are still banks you go in and you get that, you just apply for it. It's not that challenging. Of course, they still look at the same things that they would look at if you were applying for a home loan. Your credit has to be on point, your mortgage payments have to be on point, have to have a good payment history, etc. Your credit score, all of the same things still, they still matter. So basically, they still look at all of that. But this is where the benefit of having like a credit union, having an account with the credit union comes in, because it makes it a bit easier. When you have a relationship with the credit union, you're a member, you've been there for quite some time. It's pretty cut and dry. They look at your credit, they approve you. It's not that challenging. So you just have to make sure that you are properly planning. Like I said, it's not that difficult to go in. I think it's probably going to be more difficult to find a good contractor right now, because the contractors are all like, they're spread thin because there's so much work going on. It's so many homes that are under renovation right now, and a lot of the good contractors are booked for, like, they have back-to-back projects booked. So that's probably going to be the challenging part. But other than that, if your finances are in order, it won't be a challenge at all to get a home equity loan and be able to, do some renovations in order to prepare your home for selling.
Exactly, because like you say, the contractors have been spread thin. I'm saying, riding through the city, that's all you see is nothing but people out here just doing work on these homes. That's all. You see dumpsters here. Everybody. Right now it seems like it's about the market is about to be flooded with a whole lot of homes in the city. That's what it looked like. That's what it looked like to me. Right. So it's going to be a lot of buyers. Going to be a whole lot of sellers. Hopefully a lot of buyers, but it looked like it's going to be a lot of sellers right about now. It's a good thing, maybe, bring more people back here to the cities. Like we're saying, we're losing a lot of folks here in the city, 100, maybe close to 100,000 people over the past 5-6 years. So maybe that might can upbring the city.
But gentrification is coming. So it's here. So don't sleep on that. Like right now, that is absolutely true. However, in the next, I would say 5 to 8 years, Baltimore is going to look totally different.
Exactly. I would say if you're interested, I'm pretty sure they're still doing it. Go down to City Hall, ask to see the plans of what's going on or in the city for the next few years. They plan on for what's going on in the city years out. So you can still
the urban development plan. That's what it's called, and you can go online and read it for every neighborhood.
Exactly. So, and that's another good way. If a person is looking, to move, to buy a home, also go in there. You start to see what schools are being developed. There's new shopping centers being developed.
Listen, that's what you look at, where they are building these nice schools, where they turn the schools down in what do they call it, Bridgeview? I think that's what they call it, down there by Calverton. They build a baseball field. Calverton is getting ready to be. They're not, listen, pay attention. Pay attention to where they were doing those schools and building those schools. Not to what it looks like now. You have to be forward thinking. Pay attention.
Yep. So it's best to go ahead and jump into it early. When they start repaving the main roads, just jump on it early, because something's brewing, something's coming. So go online, get to see what's going on in your city, because you don't want to be stuck. You don't want to be left out. You might be that one in that city, in that neighborhood, and they fixing up things around you, and they coming, trying to move you up out of there. So
really.
Exactly. So you got to be in tune to what's going on. You got to be in tune, and like I say, it's best to find it, because when you start seeing the people in your neighborhood with those big dogs walking around,
looking like
12
this.
o'clock at night, a change is coming.
You be like, what? They come jogging past and it's 40 degrees outside with little tank top and the shorts on. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, I knew. I mean, from me being the city, I mean, Chocolate City, White Lock City. You know, riding through there, going through there late at night, and I'm seeing people walking dogs 2 o'clock in the morning.
My, what a difference in years.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know. So it's coming, but that's one thing, you know, it's coming. So, like I say, it might not be good today, but tomorrow it's going to come. It's a bad. Some people look at it as a bad thing. Some people look at it as a good thing. But if you got to, you know, if you have a home, you're looking at, you know, value of your home. Maybe you're looking to maybe sell your home maybe in a few years, and you're just looking to stay in this home for a hot second. That's also another good thing. To also too is to go look at what's going on in certain neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Exactly. Yep. So, I mean, get informed, you know, start getting behind the computer. You know, you're on Facebook all day long. These sites, start getting in tune with your neighborhood and your city and see what's going on before you be left behind.
Yeah, and that's the most important piece of it. And again, you know, everybody does not have time for that. And we understand that like as an agent, again, make sure your agent knows not just, you know, okay, how to sell your house, etc. Make sure that they know about your neighborhood when they talk to you about selling your house. Make sure that, because that's going to be the key selling points. You know, you want to make sure that you are properly informed. So, and that's just that. If you're looking to sell your house and buy in another area, you know, talk to your agent about that. Make sure that, you know, you're making the best decision for you and your family. If it's just you, whatever the case may be, just make sure that whatever you do, that you talk to somebody about it.
Exactly. And another thing, go by these homes at night in these neighborhoods. Go by there at nighttime. You know, go in the summertime. You know, if you're looking to buy a home, ride by in the summertime, get a neighbor, you know, get a feel. If you're not familiar with certain areas, you're moving out of state. That's just not just here in Baltimore. It's anywhere. Just go by at nighttime, things like that, to get to see what you're getting yourself into. Because that's another thing. You know, some people might tell you, okay, yeah, it's a good neighborhood because they might want to sell the home, but you know, now you're moving in there, and then, you know, you got gunshots going next door. You know, you got a crack house across the alley. You know, the school's terrible. So, you know, it's a food desert in that neighborhood. So, you know, just go ahead and get a feel of that area. You know, start doing your research. So, you know, take a few minutes out of your day. You know, you're going to Walmart and things like that. Ride through a certain neighborhood on the way going there or something. But you do your research. You have to do your research.
Yeah, you do. Absolutely.
Exactly. So, I mean, I feel as though that this is right now with this, you know, especially here in the city, it's going to be a real good thing. I would say, and also if you, like you say, if you can maybe find, like you say, those different sites, Zellas and things like that, find a good home on there, and maybe a couple of thousand, and, you know, a realtor is selling that home and there's maybe $40,000-$50,000, and maybe it don't look as good. Maybe, you know, go and purchase the home and take your time. Fix the home up on your own. You know, it's your home. You know, you can take as long as you like to go ahead and fix on things like that. But, you know, take your time and fix it up. That's another good way. You know, you might not have 200,000. You know, your credit might not be as good for that. But, you know, your credit might get you $60,000-$70,000 home. Hey, you know, you might find a home for 50,000. You know, right. And things like that. So, you know, just, you know, it's different avenues, it's different roads. You know, you don't have to just go ahead and just jump out and try to keep up with everyone. Also, you know, the Joneses take time. Like, you'll have people down, like, that's to say down south, they'll buy land and they'll build time at the time, and eventually they might have a mansion. So it takes a little bit of time. Rome wasn't built in a day.
Absolutely.
So, just start getting just start doing the research. Just do a little bit of time. Take 5-10 minutes out of your time at nighttime. Look around, find some things. Like, say, go by these neighborhoods and things like that. You know, call the agent, call DL Sell Homes. You know, they'll be more so that,
it's me.
pretty much, and, you know, tell you a little bit of things. And I don't think she's going to hide anything and tell you, look here, this is a real nice home, and have you moving in Amityville or something like that. So, you know, we keep it real around here.
That's too real. I think it's too real for some people, but it is what it is.
Exactly. So at least you know what you're getting yourself into. So that's also a good thing. But you're also like, what about you? You know, you might think, you might have, some people might be watching this and things like, man, really, it sound like a challenging thing, but it sounds, fun. It sounds like adventurous. Get to work on my own. What do you think about, young ladies or young, gentlemen that's out there maybe in school now, about, just thinking about, they want to buy homes, but they don't know where to start. How do you think, how would they get started, or what do you think they want to do? Or is that something you have to go to college for? That's something that you pretty much have to, you can just say, hypothetically, you spend a few dollars and, hey, I'm a real estate agent like this. And you have to really study hard for it. I mean, what is the process? What is the steps?
Well, I don't think you have to go to college. I mean, I did, but I don't think that was a requirement. I mean, I
Yeah,
know you have to graduate from high school, but you have to take the course of the pre-licensing course and complete your 60 hours. And then you take a final exam. You have to take a course, pass the final exam, and then you prepare for the licensing exam. It's not for the faint of heart, to be honest. Like, it is not. If you are a self-starter, it's just, I mean, there are some agencies that have their structure is built around like forming a team where leads are pretty much filtered through, so you don't have to go out and drum up your own business. But then, of course, that goes into where the commission is split between you and your team member. It's like a whole bunch of other things that go into it. But I mean, for me coming into it, it is you do everything. Like, you have to do everything on your own. It is no, I mean, and my broker is amazing with making sure that we have everything that we need and assisting us in any way that we need to be assisted. But you have to do your own work. Like, she's not here to do your work for you. She's just here to help you along the way on your journey. And that's with any broker. But again, some of the other brokerages that have like these huge teams, like they have like different people in different places and people in place that makes the transaction a lot easier, but it takes away from you actually learning how to do your job yourself. So like, there are some people that come to my brokerage from other places, and they have never they never had to write a contract. So that's not their strong suit. But for me, like, I had to write my first contract, and I write my own contract. So these are all things this is all part of the learning experience. So just make sure that when you go to your brokerage, like, you do pick the brokerage that's best for you. But this is something that can be like, our license is active for 2 years before we have to renew it. And some people don't make it past the 2 years because it's not, like, you don't just jump into what we do and just money just falls in your lap. You have to go and get it. So if you're not that, if you don't have that in you, some people are more like they like routine. So what we do is not routine. There are no two transactions that is the same. So it's definitely challenging. It's not as easy as it seems, and how people like, oh, they just made money. That agent just made money and didn't do anything. Like, sometimes you don't even understand what we do in the back end that we never even bring to you, because that's what we're here for. So that you're not getting all of those phone calls, so that we can put the fire out before it even gets to you. So it's like, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It takes a lot. It takes a lot to build your business. Once you build your business and get your business going, you pretty much do, your referral like network, it continues to grow. But you have to make a name for yourself in order for that to happen. And the only way to do that is to make sure that you know your stuff.
Exactly. So would you say, per se, it's best to have that machine behind you, like you say, as a brokerage, or just get out and grind on your own? But it's just, I guess it's just like in, any industry, like music industry, anything like that is, I guess it's, to each his own, but you have to learn, like you say, being with the brokerage, you have that little bit, I would say, like that security blanket as a little bit, whereas though to help you out in some ways, though, if you're doing it on your own, you have to go back and maybe you don't have that as much help, as you say.
No, you have to be, every agent has to be affiliated with a brokerage. But
Okay.
within some brokerages, there are people that have teams. And so there are a lot of like groups out here that you might see, like this particular home group and that particular home group, where they are not, they are a team operating out of a brokerage. So the team lead is, the team is named after the team lead, and then all of the agents under that person. So that team lead typically goes out, they drum up the business, and they filter the leads through to their agents. So then the agents come, they take care as the leads are coming through and assigned to agents. Then now the agent is responsible for that transaction. Where with me, I'm not part of a team. I'm part of a brokerage, but I am my own team. So I like any lead that I get, I pay for leads. I get leads on my own. Like nobody filters anything down to me unless another agent puts like in my brokerage, I deal with a lot of investors. So there are times where, they may get an investor client and they feel like I would be better suited for that particular client. And they'll refer a person to me, and we have a referral network. That's different than I don't split my commission. I'm not 70-30, or anything like
Yeah.
that. Like, so we agree on an amount for that referral, and you get that's yours and cool. See you later. But I don't split I'm not 60-40, 70-80-20. I'm not trying to buy my way out and cap out and do all of that. I don't do all of that. Like my money is my money, and I'm 100% commission at my brokerage. So if anybody's interested in becoming an agent and they want to learn about how a commission plan works, and we definitely have ours in comparison to others, but some people prefer that team environment. Some people prefer to be in an environment where they are more supported, and they're not fully responsible for the entire transaction. That works for some people. For me, I'm cool with what I do.
Exactly. I mean, because to me, it sounds more, suitable and easy because, looking, that it all depends on how much you want something, because that drive and, oh, okay, I got to get up, I got to do this. And that mindset of like, I don't eat, if I don't work, I don't research,
Yeah,
I don't
that
eat.
is definitely exactly that. And that is
So that
definitely what I
drives these Jordans and things like that don't, for the kids and things don't, they're not cheap. So,
yeah.
you like the nice things, you got to hustle. That's just like with any job, with anything that you do, you got to hustle for it. You got to, you got to put your all into it. And you have some people that might say, oh, I want to sell homes, but I don't know what I want to do. I don't know if I want to be an investor. I want to be a real estate agent. I don't know where to start at. I don't know what to do. So do a lot of brokerage. Like say if I want to be a real estate, do I call a brokerage like, hey, do y'all have like programs like some barbershops that they might have an apprenticeship program, or they might put you through school and things. So that's something that a person might can look into, or that's how they can be able to go about doing it?
Yeah. So, every brokerage you can always schedule and meet, because we have a website and it gives you basic information. It tells you about our compensation plan, etc. But it's like, it's better to just go in and sit down and talk and get an understanding for what is available to you, what resources. If I decide to join this brokerage, what resources are available to me to help me succeed in the industry? And I mean, mostly every brokerage, honestly, especially the larger ones, they have like a whole curriculum in place. Like my brokerage, we have a rev up training that my broker facilitates. Like it goes on the cycle. I can't remember, like, just say for instance, if the cycle is 6 weeks, so every 6 weeks it starts over for all of the new agents that come in, and she covers like every single aspect of the transaction and being an agent, from financing to marketing to lead generating to farming to like all the different acronyms and the different things that we do as an agent. She does a whole 2-hour segment once a week, and it goes, like I said, it's once a week and it goes for 6 weeks and then it starts over. So even for the agents, the seasoned agents, if we missed anything, if we needed a touch up, or whatever we need to do, we have access to this information. And I believe Keller has something similar. So every brokerage, mostly, especially the larger ones, they have something in place for new agents. So it is not. But it's still what you put into it, because the thing about it is none of these things are mandatory because you are self-employed. So although the brokerage offers it, it's nothing that says that you have to take these trainings. So again, it is up to the agent to make themselves available at the times that these trainings and things like that take place, so that they can get the most out of the experience. That's the only other thing, is that nothing is mandatory, absolutely nothing, except for that you pay your fees every month to be
Yeah.
affiliated. So if you don't take the trainings, but you don't understand why your business is not growing, that's not the brokerage's fault. Like, because outside of that, like, we have like YouTube, it's too many resources out here. But again, some
Free
people just want to get
resources.
their, yeah, some people just want to get their license, and they just think that because they get on social media and say I have my license, that their phone is just going to start ringing off the hook, and that's not how it goes.
You
It
got to do
absolutely
the
is not how.
footwork. You got to network footwork. You can't be a grouchy person, and you can't be an antisocial person and say you got your, the license. You got to, you got to network. You got to rub elbows with a few people. You got to get a little. They say you got to get a little dirty, roll your sleeves up a little bit.
Yeah, that's absolutely not how they go. So,
Ex- exactly. So I mean, like you say, this week, we didn't have slides, but we talked on exactly on like a lot of curb appeal, getting your homes, getting your home sold, things like that, on what to do on getting your home sold, or if you want to sell a home. So next week, what you want to touch on or next week?
I think next week, I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure yet. I did mention that I would be working on having a session for investors, like investing 101. So
That right
it's
there,
gonna have to be a week that I have longer than 1 hour, because it's probably, and I'm sure we'll probably have a lot of questions and things like that for that particular session. So, but if, I might do it next week, because we may not. So we'll just see. But just
so we can just go ahead and, like, whatever, like, if for like the questions, Q&A, things like that, we'll work something out and we'll put it together, whereas we'll promote, let everyone know it's going to be 2 hours, hour and a half, 90 minutes, 60 minutes, 30 minutes, or however, we'll just go, put it out. But that's something right there, because I'm looking on Facebook, I'm coming around neighborhoods, I see a lot of people right now. I see a lot of investors right now as well.
yeah.
I see a lot of people that's starting out, that might look for a realtor, or some things like that, that may have connections. So that right there, that right there is a very good topic.
Yeah.
So exactly. So
that's
I'll put it like this, put it out there for you guys. If that's something you want to see, you're interested in being a part of, you want to hear, get in contact with Ms. Lemon. All the information, contact information is up on the screen, is up on the website. Go on the website, email me, DM me, however you want to do it. We'll put something together. But it's a lot of investors out there. If you're looking to invest, you're an investor, you're looking to be a real estate agent, get in contact, and we can go ahead and put something together, because it's all about networking, it's all about teamwork.
Yep, absolutely. And I definitely appreciate you giving me the opportunity to partake in your dope podcast and put this information out there. I think it's good. We get really good feedback. If anyone out there, if you have any topics that you would like for me to speak on, or you'd like for us to host a segment on as it relates to real estate, just let Alfie know, and then Mr. Alfred, or you can reach out to me directly, and I'll make sure that we are addressing and tending to what everybody needs, because we need you all to definitely begin investing in the city, not just the city, but just bring the city back to where it needs to be. And I feel like long-term investing in the city will be most beneficial. You don't have to live in the city, but at least have one investment, whether it be a rental property, whether it be a multi-unit, just get you a piece of the pie, because soon
It's gonna be gone.
mark my word, you'll say, I remember I watched that podcast, and you probably won't even remember my name. You'll probably just be like, the lady said that.
Yep. And for 1 second is, but this one neighborhood in particular, South Baltimore, I would say, like the Fort McHenry area, coming from Cherry Hill, that little South Baltimore part of the area. Now, I remember the area in the 90s, early 80s, things like that. It was, going towards the Walmart out there, it was terrible. Now, when you go through there, and my coworker always say, when you ride through there, it's like going through another neighborhood. They got the ding bell, say the bell go up and say, we got outsiders coming through the neighborhood. $250,000, $300,000, $400,000 homes, all in within 10 years or whatever. Yeah. So, like I say, they will bypass you. So don't be left out because it is coming. So it is coming. And so don't be left out. It is coming. And it's been, like I say, it's been a great week this week. I feel like this week is very informative. You guys, this is going to run back again at 12. It's going to run back again at 12. It's going to run again at 8 a.m. It's going to run again at also at 12 noon. So just stick around. If you missed it this hour, it is going to run again. Like I say, every week is always my pleasure. Glad you can stop by and join us. Hopefully next week, we come again. We get some more questions because, like I say, I got some things I want to brew up, but it's going to come up down the line. I got some things I want to talk about, but it's going to come on down the line. But I appreciate you coming again this week.
Thank you, and good night to you all.
Exactly. So everybody, enjoy your evening. Like I say, Streets Talk Podcast, DL Cell Homes. We here for you. Get in contact with us. Holler at y'all. Peace out.
Peace.